Welcome to week 13 of my NFL predictions. Last week I went 8-5 on predictions, putting my current record at 120-59. And starting off this video, we got one of three Thanksgiving games. We have the Bears taking on the Detroit Lions. The Lions always play on Thanksgiving, and usually it's a division rival. And the Bears, they've lost, I believe, 4 in a row now, something like that. They've definitely haven't been playing their best ball, to say the very least. And it's just because their coaching sucks. Like, Eberflus is a bad coach. And, I mean, they've played better the last two games, but at the same time, like, it's still not enough because of how bad of a coach Eberflus is, and they need to fire him. And this game could be a game he gets fired in, because I definitely don't think they're going to beat the Lions, who, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFL. They're currently on a 9-game winning streak, and they've looked just completely unstoppable this year. And they're the heavy favorite to make it to the Super Bowl in the NFC. And I obviously had the Lions winning. I do think it'll be close because, it's a division rivalry, and the Lions have been snake bitten on Thanksgiving the past, few years. They haven't won there in quite a while, but I do think they will get their first win there in quite a few years. I have them winning this one with a score of 27-20. Next game we got is the Giants taking on the Cowboys in another divisional matchup, this time the NFC East, another team that always plays on Thanksgiving, the Cowboys. And I'm not going to lie, I honestly don't know who is going to really be that interested in this game aside from Giants and Cowboys fans, because both these teams have horribly underachieved this season, especially the Cowboys. I mean, I definitely didn't expect the Giants to be good, but I thought the Cowboys would be better, and they just had things go wrong for them, and they're a disaster right now. Both these teams are, honestly. These are honestly two of the biggest disasters in the NFL right now. And, I mean, the Giants, they were able to... they didn't really do much. They released Daniel Jones, and they lost last week to the Bucs, and it was something like 30-7. It was not a close game. The Cowboys actually managed to upset the Commanders, but, I still don't think they're going anywhere this season. I will say, though, I do think they'll win this game because I do think they are slightly less of a disaster than the Giants. They're a more talented disaster. I'll say that. So I do think the Cowboys will win, and I got them winning 20-17. And heading back up to Green Bay, we got the Dolphins taking on the Packers in our final Thanksgiving game. Dolphins able to beat the Patriots last week, and the Packers able to beat the 49ers last week. And, both these teams, basically, they did what they had to do last week. They were both very convincing wins, just not the opponents weren't very convincing. And the thing is, although the Dolphins are actually on a 3-game winning streak at this point in time, I still don't exactly like their outlook because they tend to play worse when the weather gets colder, and I think we're going to see that again. And we'll have to see if they can, actually play decent football in December, because I really don't trust that they'll be able to, because they're a warm weather team, and when you're a warm weather team in the NFL, it's really a hindrance to you. And the Packers, although not the cleanest version of football, they are 8-3, and 8-3 is 8-3 no matter how you slice it. And I'm going to go with the Packers because it's at home, and what I just said about the Dolphins, although this game technically won't be in December, honestly, I think it's close enough to consider it December, because it's late November, and late November, you're still going to get those chills and everything, and Dolphins don't exactly stand well in the cold. and I got the Packers winning this one 24-10. And the next day is actually a Friday afternoon game between the Raiders and the Chiefs, a Black Friday game, which the NFL has decided to start doing about a year ago. And the Raiders, they got crushed by the Broncos last week and are currently on a 7-game losing streak. And, there's really not a light at the end of the tunnel for this team. The Raiders, and they also don't have Gardner Minshew for the rest of the season because he suffered a season-ending injury in that game. And, this team's just not good. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. And the Chiefs, they barely beat the Panthers, but the important thing is they did beat the Panthers. They didn't, embarrassingly lose to them or anything. They did end up winning, and you can't hate it too much as I'd love to. They're doing what they need to do, and I see them doing the same here. The Raiders aren't a good team, and they haven't exactly proven to me that they can really get any sort of thing going. The Raiders are just the Raiders. They're basically eliminated from playoff contention. Technically, they're not, but let's be real. They are 2-9. You're done. And the Raiders know they're done. The Chiefs, they'll take care of business. Probably unconvincing as hell, but, they'll still win. So I got the Chiefs winning this one in a tight one. I got the score being 17-14. All right, our first official December game will be between the Texans and the Jags. And the Texans, oh man, I don't know where to start with this team. They were at home. They had 8 sacks. They had a pick 6. They were playing the Titans of all teams, and they lost. I didn't do reaction video this week, but Texans fans, honestly, you should be happy I didn't, because I would have tore your team to fucking shreds if I did, because you had no business losing that game. And don't give me the excuse that it was a division rivalry. No, you should win a game. 8 sacks and a pick 6. You're at home. You cannot lose that game. That is one of those games where you have to win that game. And the Jags, not much to say. They suck, but they were on a bye week last week. And honestly, I could really see the Jags winning this game. I really could, just because of how bad the Texans are playing. I'm still going to pick the Texans because, I do still think that the Texans are in a better spot than the Jags. Not that that's saying much. And, Texans, if you lose this game, oh boy, you're going to be in for it in my reaction video. Although, I will pick you. Prove to me that you're not that bad by winning. I got the Texans winning this one 19-17. All right, our next game, we have the Colts taking on the Patriots. The Colts losing to the Lions last week, and that was definitely a disappointing loss. But honestly, Lions are a good team, and there's no shame losing to a team like them. It does suck for their playoff push, though. Patriots getting blown out by the Dolphins, which was to be expected. Patriots have a rookie quarterback. Dolphins, they're trying to play for a playoff spot right now, and that's just the reality of the Patriots, is they're not a talented team. And I could see this game being a close one because Anthony Richardson is very hot and cold, especially cold. And the Patriots, although not super talented, do have a solid defense. Not great, but solid. So honestly, I could see the Patriots pulling away here. Just because, they got a strong defense. Drake May's been playing really well these past few weeks for about as good as he can with a team like the Patriots. And, I'm still going to pick the Colts just because more talent. I trust Shane Steichen more than I trust Gerard Mayo. And I know I'm being a little misleading here. I said that I think the Jags could win, and I picked the Texans, and I said I think the Patriots could win. I'm picking the Colts, but I mean, that's just the reality of the NFL right now. I mean, you could realistically, like, a lot of these games are just like a flip of a coin if you really think about it. But I still have to go with my gut here. I have to go with the team that I think is more talented and has a better head coach. So that team is the Colts. Although I do think it'll be a sloppy game. I think the Colts will win 13-10. All right, our next game we got is the Chargers and Falcons. Chargers losing in the Harbowl on Monday Night Football to the Ravens, and the Falcons had a bye week last week. And Chargers, and another thing that sucks for the Chargers is J.K. Dobbins is going to be out for at least a few weeks, and he's been one of their best players on offense. And, it's tough for the Chargers right now. And you also have the Broncos right behind them, too, in the playoff race, which both teams are in. But Broncos, if the Chargers aren't careful, they could sneak behind them. And the Falcons, they got the Bucs behind them for the division race. So both these teams, honestly, this is like kind of a must-win for both of these teams. And, I don't know. This is another game where it's a flip of the coin, especially considering that these two teams are two of the most, choke-prone teams, for lack of a better term, because, the Falcons, you know all about the 28-3 and all the blown leads and things like that, and then the Chargers, you got, the chargering and the, all that, and it's just... Every time these two teams play, it's always something insane, and I don't see this game being any different. I think it's going to come down to the wire, and I am going to go with the Chargers because I trust Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh more than I trust Kirk Cousins and Raheem Morris, so I got the Chargers winning this one 23-22. All right, our next game we got is the Seahawks taking on the Jets. The Seahawks able to beat the Cardinals at home last week in a defensive slugfest, but it was a good win for them because now they're on a 2-game winning streak, both against division rivals. So definitely impressive by the Seahawks there. And the Jets had a bye week last week. And the Jets, I don't know what to say about this team. Like, they don't inspire awe. They're just a talented mess. Like I said, the Cowboys are a talented mess. Honestly, the Jets are worse. And I mean worse in the sense that they're more talented and they're worse. Like, which you think would not be possible. But the thing is, I just don't know with this team, man. Honestly, the talent from both these teams, honestly, I think the Jets are more talented, but I do not trust them to win a single game the rest of the season. This team has been such a disaster, it's ridiculous. A team with this much talent should be at least at 500, and they're not even close to being at 500. I need to make a video on the Jets or something on how much of a fucking disaster this team is, because I can't do it. I can't with this team. I just can't. I have to pick the Seahawks. I cannot pick the Jets until they can prove to me that they can play like a competent organization for once. So yeah, I have the Seahawks winning this one with a score of 29-17. All right, our next game we got is the Titans taking on the Commanders. The Titans surprisingly beating the Texans last week despite getting sacked 8 times and throwing a pick 6. But they were able to get the victory. And the Commanders, they were unable to get the victory last week against the Cowboys in one of the craziest games you'll ever see at the last 2 minutes of that game. And this is another game, flip the coin, president or whatever Tails is, the bird or whatever. And, the reason it's a coin flip is because I remember the Texans, it reminds me of Texans Jags because the Texans, despite their good record, haven't been playing their best football as of late. And I feel like the Commanders are a similar situation. And I mean, the Titans, I mean, they did just win against their division rival. And I think you could realistically pick the Titans in this situation. And if you've been watching this video, you know I'm picking the Commanders because of how I talk about these games. But I mean, yeah, I have picked the Commanders because, like, the Titans, despite their win last week, I feel like that was more the Texans being stupid rather than the Titans, actually playing well. Which, not to discredit the Titans, I mean, they won, but, we'll see if they can prove me wrong. I don't think they will, though. So I got the Commanders winning this one. Not pretty, but I have them winning this one 20-13. All right, our next game we got is the Steelers taking on the Bengals, and the Steelers losing to the Browns on Thursday Night Football last week. And the Bengals, they had a bye week last week, and that was a much, much, much needed bye week for them. And, it's AFC North football. This is going to be a gritty, competitive, potentially high-scoring game. And it's weird to say, considering the Steelers are have been one of the worst offenses ever since Big Ben retired. But every time they play the Bengals, they always put up like 30-something points. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't know how they do it, but they just always go off against the Bengals. And I see that happening again, especially this season, because the Bengals the Bengals defense rather, has been a train wreck, and I don't see him stopping this Steelers offense. That's actually been really good this year. So yeah, I have the Steelers winning this one with a score of 30-24. Our next game we got is the Cardinals taking on the Vikings. The Cardinals losing last week to the Seahawks, and the Vikings winning against the Bears in a very sketchy victory. And I got to talk about the Cardinals again because this team is just so unpredictable. I cannot predict this team very well because every time I think they're going to turn a corner and actually go on a winning streak, they lose in an embarrassing fashion. And that's what they did last week. And then every time I think they're going to get embarrassed or lose or something like that, they end up, getting some bullshit victory. It's crazy. I don't get it. I don't understand this team. And I mean, it's just the NFL for you. The Cardinals, when everyone else zigs, they zag. I mean, that's just how it is with them. And the Vikings, they're 9-2, but they've been very sketchy these past few weeks, and they actually randomly signed Daniel Jones, who got released from the Giants. I have yet to talk about that yet in this video, but yeah, Vikings have Daniel Jones now. And he's not going to start because Sam Darnold's their quarterback. And I do think Sam Darnold will have a better game than people expect because he has been kind of getting his shit together these past few weeks. That's not really saying much because, he's been pretty bad. There was a stretch where he was pretty bad, but he's starting to pick it up again. So good for him. I do have the Vikings winning this one with a score of 27-14. All right, starting off with the 4 o'clock slate, we have a rematch of the 2018 NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints. The Rams they were unable to beat the Eagles on Sunday Night Football, losing by 17. And the Saints, they had a bye week last week. And, get your coin out because this is a coin flip game. It really is. And you could take whichever team you want, really, because, the Rams have more talent, and they have a better head coach, and, there's that. But the Saints, they are in a 2-game winning streak, And I feel like it's one of these games where they could really steal if the Rams aren't able to, take over the game with Kyren Williams or Puka or Cooper Kupp, which is very possible, by the way. Stafford has been pretty iffy this season, so we'll see what happens in this game. I'm still going to pick the Rams because they're the safe pick in my opinion, even though they're on the road. I don't know though, because like the Rams, they've looked shaky, and the Saints are coming off of a bye week with 2 straight wins, but I do trust Sean McVay. I really do. And I think I think the Rams will have like a game to prove that they're still, a playoff contender. And I think this will be that game. Rams win 28-20 is my prediction. All right, our next 4 o'clock game, we have the Bucs taking on the Panthers. The Bucs able to dominate the Giants, the Daniel Jones-less Giants, the Tommy DeVito-led Giants, 30-7, I believe was the score. Let me double check that. Yeah, that was the score. And the Panthers able to almost beat the Chiefs. And I got to give credit to the Panthers, man. That was such a hard-fought loss, which, that sounds kind of like a backhanded compliment, but it really isn't. The fact that you almost beat the Chiefs, and I know the Chiefs have been, a weird kind of fraudulent-ish team, but it's still impressive considering how little talent is on this Panthers team. It's definitely what you want to see, and Bryce Young's been looking better. And, this is another game, it's a division rivalry, and the Panthers, they would be on a 3-game winning streak if they were able to beat the Chiefs, which they were close to doing. But I gotta pick the Bucs. I think it'll be a very close game because that's how a lot of these division games have been this year. And it could go either way, but I got the Bucs winning this one by a singular point, 28-27. All right, next up, we got a potential game of the week. We have the Eagles taking on the Ravens. The Eagles dominated the Rams, at least for the last 3 quarters of the game on Sunday Night Football. The Rams and the Ravens, they were able to take care of business. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. They were in the Horrible. I completely forgot about that. I don't know how the hell I forgot about that, but yeah, they were in the Horrible, able to beat Little Brother, as John Harbaugh's older than Jim Harbaugh. And this could be a potential Super Bowl matchup because both these teams, in my opinion, are Super Bowl contenders. The Eagles, they've looked extremely well. They're on a 7-game winning streak. And the Ravens, despite what people might say about their defense, honestly, they've been playing better. And I think when the playoffs roll around, I think offenses are generally going to struggle anyway because of colder weather and things like that. So I'm not that concerned about their defense moving forward. One thing I am concerned about is how much talent they're going to have to deal with the Eagles. Because the Eagles, they've got Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Just on the offense, they've got a top-tier offensive line. So I'm going to have to pick the Eagles to win this one with a score of 31-28. All right, our Sunday Night Football game we got is the 49ers taking on the Bills. The 49ers got absolutely killed against the Packers last week. And the Bills, they were able to take care of business against, the bye week. They were on a bye week. Why do I always forget what teams are on a bye week? I don't know. Weird prediction week this week. But yeah, they're on a bye week, and when you're on a bye week, I guess it helps because you can't lose. So good for the Bills for not losing, and hopefully I can, not lose my mind forgetting about all the teams on a bye week. Anyway, I digress. Bills should easily win this one. 49ers have not looked good this season, and the Bills have looked very good this season. They're also, like the Eagles, on a 7-game winning streak. And I expect that to go up to 8 as they take this one 31-21, and they actually could clinch the division if they win this and the Dolphins lose on their Thanksgiving night game. And ending the week on Monday Night Football, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Denver Broncos. The Browns able to beat the Steelers on Thursday Night Football in a shocking upset, and the Broncos able to take care of business against the Raiders. And yeah, this is one of those games where it should be obvious who I pick, but I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of worried about this game. Because as you guys might not know, I'm a Broncos fan, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy with how we've been playing. But every year we have this one game where we have no business losing, where it's a very much worse team. And I feel like this could be that game. I hope not, but like it's happened every year. It really has. And I'm genuinely worried. And it's just like a lot of our losses have been to teams that I think are better than us, or at least were better than us when we played them. So, I don't know. We are at home. Bo Nix has been unbelievable this year. Should be Offensive Rookie of the Year. And yeah, I'm going to pick the Broncos. Hopefully, I don't regret this. And you know, it's like, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard because the Browns, despite their record, they have talent. They really do. They've got Myles Garrett. They've got Nick Chubb. They've got Jameis Winston, who's having a solid year. But yeah, I'm going to still pick the Broncos 23-20 and do not mess this up. All right. Got all my predictions lined up here if you want to take a screenshot or whatever you want to do. But that's going to end this video, and I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy some football.